What is self-acceptance, and why should one do it? Asking a question like that, particularly the second question, seems to my mind to indicate an error in our thinking from the outset. Because most of the time people spend practically all of their lives trying to make things better. They judge the world, they judge themselves, they judge the conditions by which they live. And I don't necessarily mean judge with a bad connotation. I mean, it can be a positive judgment. But in any case, it's a judgment which propels you, motivates you to go and change things in the world consistently. You know, I judge I have a certain amount of money. I judge my life would be happier if I had more. I judge that I'm not in a relationship. I judge that my life would be happier and richer if I were in one. And so on with career, with accolades, with respect, with dignity, with legacy, and all these things that we human beings care about. But sooner or later, you really have to realize that these things don't make you happy. At least they do so only temporarily, in a very limited sense. And you can have all the money in the world, and you can have this and that, and everything else that you believe will finally make you happy, and then you get it, and it's not what you thought it was. There are only so many times you can do that before you start to realize that something in your behavior needs to change. Which is why self-acceptance is very important. But it's not, and this is really the point of the video, it is not simply a matter of just trying to accept yourself. Trying to do anything is still in judgment. Because if there are certain parts of yourself that you find particularly difficult to accept, and I use the term yourself very loosely here as one really is obliged to, if there are certain parts of yourself that you struggle to accept, things you've achieved, things you've done in the past, things about your physical appearance, things about your proficiencies, or your talents, or lack thereof, feeling like it's a struggle to try and accept these things means that you're still judging them. That's where the resistance lies, in the clinging to judgment, in the feeling that this or that thing demands that I feel upset about it. But self-acceptance is not a behaviour that demands effort. That's really the whole point. If it still is the case that you're trying to say, oh, well, actually, you know, if I have this or that thing wrong with me, actually I have to sort of persuade myself that it's really very good for me. And perhaps I'll tell myself it's very edifying for my soul. It's good that I suffer in this respect. You know, you can try, and sometimes maybe you'll get something from that. But the problem is, it's never quite accepted so long as it's judged. But the beauty of self-acceptance is that once you let go of trying to judge yourself, which is always cognitive, mind you, always in the mind, you come to realize that there was never any reason to cling to judgment in the first place. The being that you always are, and you always have been, and you always will be, no matter how despairing you may feel at certain circumstances in your life, simply never changes. And so accepting yourself is just being, and you can never fail to be. So I'll be very brief, and I have been very brief, especially in comparison with my other videos, but this was only to say that accepting oneself is, and I'll express this most radically, is not something you do. Self-acceptance is what you are. It's tautology. It's just a repetitive phrase, self-acceptance. It's a realization that you've always already accepted yourself. That you always already just are, and it's your being that you're trying to return to. Because most of the time you'll spend your day thinking, going into the world through here, looking this way and that, thinking, am I adequate? Am I enough? I need to strive for this. I need to make more money. I need to have a better career. I need to have more people like me. But all of these things are ideal. They're thinking of something that needs to change. And even if they're very morally good and morally upright, even if their desire to change the world for the better, acceptance recognizes that they're not what is. They're always fictions, they're always distractions. And so when you think about what I am and how I need to make myself better, you're always creating a distance between what you are and what you believe you are. And I promise that peace comes when you just be. You just are. You just return to yourself continually. And of course you'll get distracted by the world, and this is something I'm learning myself, and I'm still struggling to grasp it consistently. But I promise there is peace when you return, because then no anxiety, no sadness, no anger can ever persist with you, no matter the nature of your situation, because you accept yourself. And then everything in the world that does need to change, because there's plenty that does, of course, will be transfigured naturally in your life by this peace, by this light. This is the nature of, I will be inclined to say, all religion. Of course there are nuances, but that's really what they're getting at. Is stop chasing ideals, stop chasing things that you have to be, stop judging the world and judging yourself. Simply be. Ask yourself, how do I feel? Every time you're stressed, every time you're procrastinating, skirting around your feelings rather than just feeling them. Ask yourself, how do I feel? And then discover that you are. And you'll cease to live from here outward. And you'll start to live from here, which of course you've always already done and you've never failed to do. You just forgot that you did it.